I was like, after we had an interaction, I was like, I don't know if he's gay. He was like looking me up and down, but he obviously is gay. I just feel like sometimes there's a fine line between that kind of situation, because I feel like he was kind of flirting with me. Hi everyone, welcome back to No Light Tarot. My name is Hallie, so grateful to have you all. So I decided to do part 3 of these celebrity stories. I have so many of them that telling these stories and being asked questions has brought them up. If you don't know anything about me, I used to teach yoga to a lot of celebrities. I used to work at different restaurants with a lot of celebrities to come into. I used to date some celebrities. One of my good friends growing up is considered a celebrity. I don't see him like that, but so forth and so forth. Anybody that I consider close to me that is famous to this day has been, I will never talk about them, because that is for me and them only. So I will never divulge who I've dated or who has been close to me, famous, any details, anything like that. I think it's absolutely horrible. It's betrayal, and I really am so loyal. I don't do betrayal at all. I will never ever betray anybody. So I was asked some more questions about those that I've met and encountered, and I had actually forgotten the story. Somebody asked, what is the most embarrassing story? Okay, so celebrity story. So I used to work at this yoga studio in Silver Lake in Los Angeles, if you know where that is. It was a Bikram yoga studio. Bikram yoga is the hot yoga that a lot of celebrities practice. So one day I was sitting at the front desk, and this lady came in, because I used to front desk and I see yoga. So she came in and she was like, I was like, I swear to God, I've met this woman before. I'm like, she must have come to a restaurant or cafe that I used to work at often. So she comes in and she's like, I forgot her name. It's Catherine something. But she was so sweet. So sweet. So I was like, you look familiar to me. She was like, I do. Like, she was genuinely shocked. I was like, yeah, you look familiar to me, Auntie. I was like, did you ever live in the Lower East Side? She's like, yeah, I did a long time ago. I'm like, I used to work in the Lower East Side. Maybe we met there. She was like, maybe. And then I think it clicked for her that I'd probably seen her on TV and I didn't remember. It probably happens to her often. So I was like, I used to work on Robinson and Clinton. Did you ever go there? She's like, yeah, maybe a while. I'm like, I probably served you coffee. She was like, perhaps. So then she asked me questions. She was so lovely. We started talking and she was just telling me, like, we were joking. She was such a wonderful, down-to-earth human being. I left to go get coffee. She came back and I forgot what she said to me. She came back to say something. I forgot what it was, but she was just very, very sweet. So the next day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm telling one of the teachers when I was about to teach, I'm like, I met this wonderful, wonderful lady that I think I used to serve coffee at in New York. And he was like, what's her name? She said, I was like, her name's Catherine. He's like, the SNL actress. I don't know how he realized it was her. And he was like, the SNL actress. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because at that time I didn't really watch SNL. I used to watch more Mad TV than SNL. And he showed me a picture of her and I was like, oh my gosh, that's her. I was so embarrassed that I thought I had met her. She was so sweet about it. She totally played up the whole thing. She was very, very lovely. So I just have that story. That was the most embarrassing celebrity story. I don't really get starstruck. Oh, that's the second question. Okay, so have you ever been starstruck? So I don't really get starstruck, I just don't. It takes a lot for me. I've never, once, and I'll tell you the story. But I just feel like from dating a celebrity, from dating people who have worked with celebrities, or my friend was a celebrity, well, he is, but he's no longer my friend, being with them, and people would act weird with them, it completely turned me off. Also, one of my family members growing up was famous, so seeing how people interacted with them and stuff, just, I never wanted to be that person. That's embarrassing, you know. So even though I ended up with this and all so funny. So one time I did get starstruck. Andy Cohen, who was the producer of Real Housewives of Franchises, came to my job with Sarah Jessica Parker, and it was funny. He only said hi to me, and I thought that was kind of weird. But you know, I was like, after we had an interaction, I was like, I don't know if he's gay. He was like looking me up and down, but he obviously is gay. I just feel like sometimes there's a fine line between that kind of situation, because I feel like he was kind of flirting with me. It might have been in my head, but he was like, hi, and I was like, oh. He was very sweet though, so I won't say anything else about that. But yeah, he was very sweet, and I didn't get starstruck, but I felt like, oh, if I had to be starstruck about anybody, it would be him back then. Now, nah. I'm a different person now. Third question, more about British celebrities. So I'm just remembering now, I did meet this guy, Voldemort, Ray Fiennes. He came to the place that I worked at during Skyfall, because I remember that I saw Skyfall and he came in the next week, and I thought, wow, that's really weird. Because he was the bad guy in Skyfall, I believe. He wasn't the bad guy. Javier Bardem was, but he was like the helper or something like that. I haven't watched James Bond in a while. I still love James Bond. I haven't watched it that much. But he came in, he was a complete gentleman. He was on a date with this beautiful woman. He was such a gentleman. He said thank you. He tipped well. I was like, wow, the difference between British and American celebrities as a whole, I'm just generalizing, it's like day and night. Sometimes I'm like, I think I should move back to England. Seeing British manners, but I do love America. Just sometimes I miss certain things about society that British culture has, and that's like gentlemanly men. You know. But yeah, he was a complete gentleman. Other than that, I told my Pizza Hut story about meeting the guys from Blue. I can't remember if I told. Yeah, I did tell the Emma Watson story, but yeah, Ray Fiennes, and who I met. Oh my god! Oh yeah, I did tell that story about Gavin Rossdale. See, some stories I've already told. So, Ray Fiennes, Voldemort from Harry Potter, was a very nice guy, very gentlemanly. I think sometimes I just remember the horrible. That's something I'm working on. Sometimes I remember like the mean ones more than the ones that want. Also, in New York, celebrities behave very differently than in LA, and I recently moved from LA, where a lot of them were not very nice, you know, treated people, in my opinion, not very well. So yeah, that's what I had for you. Did you hear any Me Too stories? You know, it's so funny, before I saw that question, so like I said, at this same restaurant, I used to be a manager. First I was a server, then I got promoted to manager. And I don't know if being promoted to manager is anything, because I made less money as a manager. But there was this producer, big name producer, used to come in, and he stood at the bar. He was a very nice guy. And he would tell us stories about the W guy, the Harvey W guy, who... I don't want to say because my video will get flagged, but he would tell us stories about him, say, you know, he's been in a lot of hot water, people are going to come forward, there's a producer, he used to say there's a big producer at Miramax who he's heard stories about, and he believes allegations are going to come forward. And it's so funny that I stopped working at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, all of this came to light. He was such a nice guy, this producer, very, very nice guy. And so I would hear stories. I did hear that through him. I haven't necessarily heard that many stories. Well, that's not true. I heard stories about James Franco. I heard stories personal stories about Chris North from Sex and the City. And then those I really believed. I met James Franco. I don't know if I told you this. He gave me weird vibes. I met Louis C.K. too. He sat at my table actually just before all of this happened, just before all the Me Too stuff happened, the summer before it happened. Because I remember telling my ex-boyfriend at the time that Louis C.K., I didn't know who he was. I didn't have HBO at the time. And he came to my table and he was just staring at my boobs and my butt the whole time. Like literally, which is fine, whatever. I don't really care. And I didn't wear that revealing clothes. I think I just have a very voluptuous body, so it's more obvious than others. But it was very blatant that he was checking me out, like in kind of like a weird, creepy way. But after that, I told my boyfriend at the time the story, and I was like, yeah, you know this comedian guy, Louis C.K., and he was like, Louis C.K. was at your job, and I was like, yeah, and he was like, oh my god, that's crazy, and I was like, he was kind of creepy with me though, and he was like, oh, he was? I was like, yeah. He was like, well, he gave me the full context about things that he says, and he gave me full context about the whole situation, saying like, oh, you know, Louis C.K. kind of acts like a pervert as fun, and I was like, I think he's a pervert for real, which I found very funny. And then literally that October, was it? October, yeah. Oh, I think it was next year. I forgot exactly when it happened. It's either 2016 or 2017. All of a sudden, Me Too happened, and a lot of it came exposed. So I met some of these creeper guys publicly. I also met Cuba Gooding Jr. I've had a story about him, and I didn't really feel like he was a creep. I thought he was a gentleman with me, but you know, life happens. It's just interesting that I met a lot of these guys. So yeah, those are all the questions. It's been so fun. If you want any questions asked about famous people I've met that I have no personal relationship to, please write them below. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.